welcome back to What the Fertility. Today we are so excited. We have Shelby on with us. She was on with us back in season 3, and we're so excited to kind of get next steps and like everything you've gone through after the fact of the first time you're recording with us. So we are so excited to have you here. We last spoke with her, and it was about Hashimoto's, her loss, and she was really kind of just like still in this place of waiting. And so now we are so excited to have you on and hear all about all the things that now has led you to your son Benjamin and just hear everything that's been going on. So we're so excited to have you
Yay.
on with us.
I'm so excited that I get to do a part two because last episode we were like, we'll do part two. And in my head, like, that's never going to happen. There's not a baby coming. So the fact that there is a baby now and we get part two is like, I'm so grateful.
I
But
love
just,
it. And weren't you, I mean, it was just last season. It's not like it's been like 5 years. It was,
it's
Yeah.
been, it was the end of 2023 that we
yeah.
recorded and now 2025. But yeah, I mean, a lot has happened.
Yeah. Okay.
But
So for
just to like
listeners,
recap,
yeah, to recap, maybe recap your part one, because I know you're
yes.
like, I've taken notes, and then we'll kind of jump into what happened since then.
Yeah. So part one, we talked about Hashimoto's, thyroid, getting sick with all my autoimmune stuff, starting IVF, getting one crappy embryo, getting two crappy embryos. I did two egg retrievals, and we ended it where August 2023, I did a transfer, and I had a blighted ovum. So the embryo stuck. My body absorbed it, thought it was pregnant, went in for the first ultrasound, and there was no baby. And then that was August. And then we recorded in December, and I was still waiting for my period.
Mhm.
So I didn't get my period. And then last we spoke, I was on birth control and had 2 more days of it. So 2 days after recording our podcast, I got my period.
Oh my gosh.
Finally. So December 2024, no, 2023, I got my period finally. And then January, we went in to get ready for another transfer. So I started all my meds January 2024, and on Valentine's Day, February 2024, I did an embryo transfer and I had a chemical pregnancy.
Oh my goodness.
So we were so obviously devastated for our loss in August. And then I was like, okay, you know what? That's a fluke. Like blighted ovums, aren't like common. That's not going to happen again. And we were so excited. And then when we did our transfer, I was like, it's Valentine's Day. This is luck. I literally wore like heart pajamas to sleep that
Oh,
night.
yeah.
We did like the whole like special Valentine's Day dinner. We were so, so hopeful. And I had symptoms of being pregnant. For some reason, every time I'm pregnant, the only symptom I have is like really, really sore boobs. And that's it. And I was having really sore boobs. And I was like, oh my God. But I refused to test early because my husband is like, we do not test early in this house. We wait until blood work. We need to see your HCG levels. So we were
Good for
so
you.
excited. And I was like, I'm pregnant. My boobs are hurting. So we went in and my fertility clinic does this thing where they'll email you, well, they'll call you first, being like if you're pregnant or you're not pregnant, and then they email you like your HCG levels and your next steps and whatever. So they called me and tell me that I'm pregnant, and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then I get my email, and my HCG level is 18,
Wait,
and I'm
that's
like, you guys just called me, and you're like, congratulations, you're pregnant. I'm so excited. I go and pee on a stick, and the line is like, I'm
like,
like squinting and holding it up to the light. And I get my email, my HCG is 18. I'm like,
And they
that's
never they never prefaced it at all.
they said
Like,
your levels are lower, but it could still turn into a viable pregnancy. They didn't tell me what it was.
yeah.
So I thought lower, like 100,
Yeah.
80.
Not
I
18.
don't know.
Yeah.
So then when I saw that email, I was like to my husband, like, this isn't happening. Like, this baby, this is not a viable pregnancy. So he was like, no, the levels are in your system. You're pregnant. I'm like, okay, let's give it like 4 days. I tested probably like 10 times from that morning for the next couple of days. I begged my clinic to let me go to Quest like 3 days later to test because I was like, there's no way I'm still pregnant. I went, I think it was down to like 9. And I was like, okay, like we're losing it.
oh,
Finally, it got down to 0. And we were just so devastated. At that point, I did two egg retrievals in 2023, all non tested, BC, CB grades, not so good. So I was like, I'm not transferring this last embryo. The quality is not good. Clearly, there's something going on with these untested embryos that like my body wants to be pregnant, but it's not happening.
Mhm.
So we had already spent so much money on the last two retrievals, but I was like, we need to do more. Like, I'm not transferring this embryo. If not now, it's never happening. I just, not that transferring a tested embryo is guaranteed, but like I want to limit experiencing a loss again.
Yeah.
Right.
So we decided, all right, well, we'll jump back into IVF. We're going to just do it again. So that was February. And then in March, I followed this girl on Instagram from high school who's like a Chinese medicine, like herbalist, acupuncturist. Like she posted a story that like really resonated with me about somebody who was going through IVF and never got pregnant. And they worked through all this stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to reach out to her. Like, who cares? So I reached out to her in like March. I started seeing her and we started doing acupuncture, herbs, you know, working on like my gut health, working on all my autoimmune stuff. And my husband was like, that's literally not going to happen. Like, what are these little needles going to do for your body? And I was like, you know what? I don't really care what you think. We're doing it.
We try it. Yeah.
So I started seeing her weekly. At that point, if you told me to eat like cow poop to get pregnant, like I was doing it. Didn't matter, you know? So I went back to my clinic. March, we started acupuncture. We started all that. We started all my stims and everything again. And then in April, we did a retrieval again. So this is my third retrieval. And I was like, we are asking our parents for money if we need to test these embryos since it's so expensive. Like, we are not doing this again without a tested embryo. Even if the grade is like shit, we're testing it. I don't care. So I started doing acupuncture for like a month. And at that point, like my thyroid levels are normal now. I'm starting to get like a little bit healthier, you know, like switching the things in the house, like, you know, getting rid of the plastics and the chemicals and switching all of our cleaning products, everything that I had read online that could affect anything. We started like switching at that point. So March, I started all my meds again, which was like just horrible to get back into it after like the loss in August. Then I don't get my period for 3 months. Then we have the chemical pregnancy. And I just like don't know. I'm sure you guys feel so like when you look back, it's like, how the heck did I go through all of that? Like, how do you push yourself so much? But at that point, you're so determined to be a mom that like you'll do anything. So April, we have a retrieval and we got 3 mature eggs, which was amazing. But before that, when I went in, so just to recap, I have 7 follicles. So when we went in for my last ultrasound, there was only 3. I said to the nurse, is this even worth going through? Like, not all my follicles are responding to it. Last couple of times we had gotten 7 eggs, even though we only got 1 embryo, at least I was getting an egg from each follicle. So when she said that we had 3, I was like, this doesn't feel worth it. And she was like, well, I can't tell you what to do. That's completely up to you guys. If you want to stop and then take a month off and start over. And there was something that I was like, you know what? Like, we're going to keep going. We just spent money on all these meds. We have already paid. I'm not getting a refund. Screw it. Even if we get 1 embryo, like, we're doing it. So we went through with it. I got 3 mature eggs, 3 fertilized, 2 sent to biopsy, and both came back normal, 5AA and a 4BB embryo.
Wow, that like in itself
Oh my
is such,
goodness.
yeah, like people need to hear that because I see people canceling their cycles all the time if they only have like 3 eggs.
Yeah, well, I wanted to, and the nurse was just like, I literally can't tell you what to do. And I'm like, I'm the type of person, like, I just prefer someone to tell me what to do. I don't want to make a decision because if it's the wrong one, then I beat myself up over it. But my husband and I just sat there in the office or like the room after I did my scan, and I was like, what do we do? We're
Yeah.
not going to get, it wasn't even just about the money. It was like my body's been through it. Let's see what happens. Like, let's see this through. There was like a 20% chance. I was like, we're giving up. Like, we're not doing this. It's a waste of a cycle. I can't believe we're putting we can't believe we're doing this again. And then it was my best retrieval, which is so wild.
So wild.
So at this point, you have 3, the 2 that you just tested, and then the 1 from the previous cycle, but that one was untested.
Yes. So we have always said, my husband and I, we always wanted 3 kids. We just felt like it wasn't enough. Like, we don't know if those 2 will stick. We don't even know if my body can handle a pregnancy after what's gone on. And we're not going to use that 3rd embryo ever. So we're doing it. And I'm so grateful that we did. I cannot believe that like, when I saw 5AA, so they send me text messages every day, like, this many, we got this many fertilized, this many sent to biopsy, this is the grade. So I was going through the screenshots, just to like recap this since it was a year ago. And I was like looking at my response to them, like, I was like, holy shit, like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like, my response was just so crazy. And my husband and I were like, oh my God, thank God we went through this. Like, this is incredible. So we got 2, but we just didn't feel satisfied. So we're like, let's do another one. I don't know how. Again, looking back, I'm like, what the heck? Like, I at that point, I wanted to be pregnant so bad, but it was like the hardest part of fertility is like you want something so bad, but you have to like prep for like the next 5 years and somehow make a decision for like what does the next 5 years of my life look like family wise. So it's like I was like, let's transfer to 5AA. Oh my God. And he's like, well, we have 3 embryos. We want 3 kids. That does not mean we're going to have 3 kids. So we're like, all right, we'll do it again. So during this whole process, I'm seeing my acupuncturist. She's incredible. If anybody's listening to this in South Florida, message me. I need to tell you about her because I don't think that my embryos and where I'm at now would have happened without her. Like, yes, IVF is absolutely incredible and I wouldn't have my baby without it. But I think the combination of what I did and like healing my body and everything really let my body take a pregnancy. So her and I started, so that was in March. We started, April was my retrieval, and I started seeing her every single week. So one of her like main things was like if you have gut issues, like your gut really, really, really affects taking a pregnancy, handling a pregnancy. So she did this testing on me called Nutra Eval. So they test your spit, your blood, and your urine. And I got like a 25-page document about my body and the vitamins and the minerals and what's going on and if I have overgrowth deficiencies. And it wasn't a cheap thing, so we debated for a while if it was worth it. But she's like, I can't like heal you without knowing what's going on inside of your body. So we found out that I had an overgrowth of yeast, which is candida, which I had no idea about. I thought I just had IBS like my whole life. So it was like bloating and constantly uncomfortable. So she's like, we need to kill your candida before you even can get pregnant, before you can handle a transfer. So her and I really focused on my gut health. She put me on a lot of supplements like vitamin D's, and I was on collagen, glutathione, like all these supplements for my body while working on killing my candida, which was so painful. It's not even a prescription drug. It's like some type of root that you take, and you take it like every day for like a week or two. But the stronger your candida is, the more it hurts. So I was like in bent over stomach pain every single day because of how much yeast I guess I had in my body, which I don't even know how the heck that happened.
That's wild. Wait, I want this test. I want to take this.
You need to do it. You should. It's just incredible. Like I still have the pages, and it was literally, we went on the phone for an hour, her and I, going over everything in my body of like just what my body needed, what I didn't need. And she just like specialized all these supplements I was on. Like I have to send you guys a photo after this of like, I have like a stack of everything that I was taking.
Yeah.
So then we went into my June retrieval and I got 8 eggs after seeing her. So after killing my candida, I got 8 eggs, 6 were mature, 4 fertilized. Then we sent off 3 to biopsy, which was the best retrieval that we had gotten.
Yeah.
And all of the embryos were either 5AA or AB. So at that point now, well, 2 came back. One we debated on keeping, which we have, but it came back where there was they said it could be fine. It was a girl embryo, and I spoke to the embryologist or the people who do the testing, and it was something that like she could grow out of, but it's not guaranteed, and they don't know. So we're like, let's hold on to the embryo because I felt weird destroying it because it's like, it still could be viable, but it's one of those things that like, I don't think I would ever transfer, but I couldn't get rid of it just because like, it's like my baby, you know, like it just feels weird.
Yeah.
So, we got more embryos out of that. So we're like, all right, we're going to do a transfer. So I continued to work with her, still doing acupuncture weekly. She would see where I'm at in my cycle, and it would be red light therapy, herbs that she would have me drink. So every week I saw her, it was like lining up with whatever meds I was on, where we were at in the process, that kind of thing. So she was like, it was her and my fertility clinic just like, well, they weren't working actually together, but like I was like, okay, we're here. And then she would do this, and it was just super helpful. So I was so excited. My candida's healed. Like, let's get into a transfer. So June, I had my retrieval. July 30th was my transfer. And we didn't want to know the gender at all, but we knew our best embryo was a boy. I don't know how. I think the doctor accidentally slipped up because we were like, we don't want to know the genders at all. We just want a baby. I don't want to be attached to whatever the gender is. God forbid there's a loss. I just feel like that makes it harder.
It does.
So I just was like, I don't want to know. And then the day of our transfer, they're going through all the paperwork and they're like, okay, so we picked your best embryo. And right away we're like, okay, so it's a boy. Like we just
Oh,
knew right away.
that's
She
sweet.
felt terrible. But it wasn't her fault. It was just we happened to know because when we did the testing on that other embryo, she was like, oh, well, your best one's a male. And then this is the issue with your girl embryo. So we didn't know the other one. So we just knew right away. So we're like, okay, best embryo. So we're like, okay, it's a boy. And I just was like pretty defeated that morning, being like, well, now I know. And now I'm super attached. We already had the name picked for a boy. So I was like, in my head, like, if I lose this, can I still use that name? Like, it was just like, I was just stressed. Like, it took over my body that day. But what I think is so incredible with like IVF is I have my whole transfer on video. So it's like I watched myself, potentially get pregnant.
Yeah,
Wait, that's so cool.
100%.
Have you shared your transfer video?
No, but I'll send it to you guys. I mean, I
Yeah.
can send it to you guys to post, but some
Yeah.
people, I feel like if people don't know IVF, they're like, why are you, everyone, I'm like, do you want to see this? Do you want to see this? And they're like, okay, you're getting a catheter put in you. Like, who cares?
I think
No, I
it's so
have it
cool.
then too. It is the
You
best.
do?
Oh, we sent it to our whole family, and we're like, okay, ready, five. We're like at this exact like we like cut it. So it's like this time we're like, okay, as soon as you see the little air bubble right there, like that's it, we're pregnant. And
Yeah, I
the
have
day-
all my transfer video on video, which like I'll never delete the other ones because obviously it was still so special. But to have this, I watch it sometimes. And I'm like, I have his embryo picture on my fridge, and I'm like, how is this tiny thing that's the size of a grain of sand become a human being?
That's so crazy.
So we did our transfer on July 30th, and we had our 2 week wait. And my husband, we just don't test early because we're so scared, especially after the blighted ovum, especially after the chemical pregnancy. Like that positive does not mean anything until I know what my HCG levels are.
Yeah, spot on. You're like,
So we just,
why even know?
yeah, because if like I see a positive, I'm going to celebrate, but like I celebrated 2 times already and I don't have a baby. So it's like, I don't know, IVF really just messes with you so terribly. So July 30th, 2 week wait. I literally, when I tell you, was busy sundown or sun up to sundown every day for 2 weeks. I was hanging out with every friend. I was going shopping. I would like not sit at my house because I would have went absolutely insane. So then I get a call on August 8th and I was pregnant, which we were so excited for and so grateful. And then at the same time of being so excited and so grateful, a wave of anxiety, panic. I start sweating. It's like the joy was as quickly as it came, was as quickly as it went away. So
Were you
then
like, what is my number? I would have been,
yeah, and they're like,
tell me
oh, we'll
what
send
day
it
to
over
do it.
email later. I'm like, oh my God. But what's so funny is we were waiting all day for the call and they didn't call us till 3 p.m. My husband happened to go to the bathroom right as they called me.
Of
So
course.
I had it on speaker outside of the bathroom door for him to hear that I was pregnant because I couldn't go in there. And it
Right.
was
You're like,
just
I'm not
terrible timing.
waiting.
So then they emailed me my HCG levels were 212. So I was like, I'm pregnant, but when I had my blooded ovum, my HCG levels were just as high as this. So I was really, really scared because, again, even though I had my HCG levels, I'm like, we've been here, we've done it. Our first ultrasound when we had the blooded ovum was just an empty sac. So we were just scared. Like, anyone who's listening to this and you girls know, like with IVF, it's like you can be so happy and then like 30 seconds later, you're just depressed and you're sad and you're scared and you're overwhelmed and like you don't get the joy of seeing a positive test. You don't even get the joy. I didn't get the joy of hearing my HCG levels because
Yep.
I know what could happen.
And you're so spot on about like you're just like saying it. You're like, okay, well, I'm not gonna test early because I've been there, so that's not gonna give me any hope. And then you're like, okay, they're telling me I'm pregnant, but okay, that's not been successful. And then you're even going further, you're like, but when I get my HCG, I'll be fine. And then you're like, no, that still doesn't help. Yeah.
Yeah, your mind just plays such tricks on you because I'm like, okay, I need to get here to feel good. I need to get
Uh-huh.
here to feel good. And then I keep getting here and then I'm still not feeling good.
Yeah.
100%.
So we were so excited. And they're like, okay, they test me, I think it was like every 48 hours to make sure that my HCG levels jumped. And it did. And it was climbing and climbing and climbing. And I didn't even make it to all 5 of my ultrasounds because you have to get to like 5,000 before they just stop testing your
Yeah.
HCG levels. So I think by like my third ultrasound or my third blood work, I was already at over 5,000. You would think I'd be so excited. Nope, still so scared. And I
Yeah.
was at like 7,300 and something. And I still was like, nope, like this isn't it.
Yep.
So My last time I had the blighted ovum, my HCG levels were climbing, and then I went in for my first ultrasound at 8 weeks, and there was no baby. And the pain of that day, like I could cry thinking about it. And I was just so scared going into this ultrasound. What if it's empty again? Like, I know my body's healed. I know my body's taking the pregnancy. It's completely different than where it was a year prior. But like, I just, until I saw something on the screen, like I wasn't going to feel good. So it was another one of those, I'm going to get there. And then so we finally go for our ultrasound, like probably like the scariest day of our lives because literally 1 year before, so this is August, the year before August was my blighted ovum. So we're only a year later, almost to the exact day
I
of,
remember that paralyzing fear of like, I don't want the ultrasound, but I don't not want to get it. Like you want to know, but you don't want to know.
Yeah, because
yeah,
here, if it is bad news, like you don't really want to know that it's bad news.
yeah, it's just
Exactly.
so crazy. So we put the ultrasound in and we saw the baby right away. Like I knew the difference. I'm like, last time I did this, there was just an empty sac. Like I know if there's a little white ball in there, that's a baby. But my husband was like, what do I look for? I'm like, I'll tell you if it's
Right.
good. Right when they went in, I saw the baby and I was like, there's a baby, there's a baby. And it was just so exciting. We heard his heartbeat and it was just like the most amazing thing ever. Then we left that office and I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this for 9 months because that was horrible. And now I don't come back for another 2 weeks. Like,
Yeah.
how do I know I'm still going to be pregnant in 2 weeks? Like, I could not bleed and there could still be an issue. Like, I wanted to buy a Doppler. My husband was like, absolutely not. Where, like, he tries to, like, comfort. He's just so, like, matter of fact and realistic and, like, doesn't have any sort of anxiety, which I just, like, don't understand. So he has to, like, bring me back down to reality. And he's like, if you buy that Doppler, you're going to go insane. If you can't find the heartbeat, you know, if you don't hear, you're going to be running to the doctor. Like, we're not doing that.
100%.
But like my friend Katie had one. I was like, can you just like mail it to me? But she was like, no, we're not doing this for you. So I was at 2 weeks later, I went, still, baby was still there. He was growing. And then in my fertility clinic, after your 12-week ultrasound, you graduate to your OB. So I was still going to my fertility clinic. And then I somehow made it to my graduation, which was so exciting. Graduated from the 12-week, went to my OB. But before that, when I was 9 weeks pregnant, I had to go to the hospital because I was so sick, dehydrated, throwing up, like terrible. So we had to rush me to the hospital because I hadn't eaten that. Yeah, I was 9 weeks pregnant. So I was so scared being in the hospital that I was going to lose the baby. I hadn't eaten. Like I read all this stuff that like anything could like affect the baby, but he was fine. So we graduated to the OB. And they also, because I did IVF, they had me go to an MFM, which I was very grateful for because you get like double the amount of
Oh
ultrasounds,
yeah.
which I didn't know. I was like,
Yeah.
what is this high risk doctor? Like, I'm so nervous. But they're like, no, 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 like you need to go with IVF. So I had like my friends like, oh, when I was pregnant, I had like 4 ultrasounds total. And I'm like, I think I get a lot more than that.
You had like 40. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It was like every other week I was at the OB or the MFM and I'm like, oh my God, this
Yeah.
is like incredible. I love this.
It was the best thing ever because you at least got to like constantly know, okay, everything's
Oh
fine.
yeah.
Yeah, but what
I'm
I didn't
yeah.
know is the OB only, my OB, when you're past 12 weeks, they only do the Doppler. I don't get to see the baby there. So I didn't like that. So I'm like, thank God for the MFM, or like I would have barely got to see the baby at
Yeah.
the OB, which
Yeah.
I just didn't. You don't know it until you're in it. So I was just like, oh, did I get to see the baby today? And he's like, no, like we're just doing the Doppler. I'm like, oh, cool, sick, love that. So my pregnancy was going good. I was extremely sick. I threw up every single day for 15 weeks. And I do sales, so I like drive around my car. I packed like a roll of my dog's like poop bags and I would throw up in those while I was driving and then like continue my day.
Did they
It
diagnose you with hyperemesis?
No, but they prescribed me and first they were like told me, I don't remember, there was something over the counter I could take and it didn't do anything. And then they gave me a prescription. I wish I remembered the name. I have it next to my bed still. And if it wasn't for that prescription, I would have been sick throughout my whole entire second trimester.
Is it Zofran?
No, I wish they gave me Zofran.
I
No.
know. That's a whole other podcast.
Oh my God. Zofran's like, ugh, I want
Yeah.
a prescription of that for the rest of my life.
Right. Right.
I don't remember the name of it, but it was I wish I remembered. I should have wrote it down,
Right?
but
Like,
it helped me.
there's just so many, but like that's like a whole
Wait,
other
I actually have a
conversation.
picture of it. Let me pull it
Yeah,
up.
because that's like then it's like you're taking medicine and you're worried if the baby's gonna be okay, but like you seriously can't function, all this stuff.
No, I was like, I don't want to take anything. I don't want to, like, I was so scared to take anything throughout my whole pregnancy. And now I'm on a prescription for weeks on end. Hold on. I know I sent it a photo. I sent a photo to somebody. I think so. It was called Docs, Diclegis,
Yes,
Diclegis.
Diclegis. Yeah, that was
Yes.
I was gonna say that one too. That one actually makes me sick. But anyways, good for you. Glad that
So
you
that
got
helped. That helped. So I took that, but I was throwing up every day. And every time I threw up, I was peeing my pants. I had
Oh,
terrible acid reflux. So I was driving around. I'd call my husband and be like, I need to come home and change. Like, it was bad. And I was just like, in my mind, I'm sure you guys feel this way. If you struggled to get pregnant or went through IVF or had miscarriages or anything, you deserve to have the best pregnancy of your life.
Yeah.
Like, we don't deserve to be throwing up and sick. Like, we deserve, after everything we've been through,
Yeah, just
to
like
have an easy pregnancy.
and enjoy it. That's what we were talking about before we hit record. It's like you feel so guilty, like even complaining. But a lot of times people that go through infertility and loss like romanticize pregnancy. And for probably half, it's totally the opposite. Like I will never do it again.
I literally was like, this is the worst experience of my life. And I've dreamt of this.
Yeah.
And I was trying to be grateful. I threw up every night, every morning. Like, and I was telling the doctors, but nobody diagnosed me with anything. It was just like, oh, like your first trimester. I'm like, well, I'm out of my first trimester. Why am I still puking my brains out? So it was just a lot. And in Judaism, it's, you don't like really talk about pregnancy or baby, and you don't buy baby things, you don't do baby showers, you don't do a lot of things because God forbid something happens. So
Really?
yeah, it's very like, you could tell people that you're pregnant, some people don't, but it's kind of like you just don't talk about it because
I didn't.
it's called a kanahora, which means bad luck, which just is kind of like, if you bring stuff for a baby into your home, like it's bad luck.
that's
I
And
how
didn't
I
my
was,
family is. So like except my mom and dad. So like all my like my aunts, my cousins, all of them. So they're like really strong Catholics. So it's very similar. And they like you can't buy anything for the baby.
yeah,
Like you said, there's no baby showers, no sprinkles, like nothing. You're
no.
not to buy anything until after because
Yep. So usually,
that
like if you're
that
really
look,
religious, when you're in the hospital giving birth, someone comes to your home and does your nursery for you.
yeah.
I
Oh
wasn't
my.
doing that. So I was like having a struggle with like what I wanted to do. We had the name picked out. We wouldn't even say his name until he was out of me. When we were in the hospital, like there was no talking about his name because if we say it and then something happens, like I was just scared.
Mhm.
So finally I was going back and forth and my mom was like, listen, you deserve a baby shower. You deserve to be celebrated. And I was just like, I'll do something really small. My mom was like, you deserve a baby shower. So I was like, fine, I'll do something really little, but I'll do it when I'm 30 weeks pregnant. Because at that point, I'll be like past so many things. I'll feel good. I'll be able to celebrate a little bit more. So let's do it. So my second trimester got a little bit better with that prescription medication. I was doing pretty good. My husband and I, at 28 weeks pregnant, went on a baby moon. We went to the BVI, and it was like the first time I was like relaxed. We were celebrating. We were having a really good time. And we get back. My friends start flying into town for my shower. My friend Katie, who you guys have had on the podcast, she flew in. She was staying with me. And my shower was supposed to be when I was 30 weeks, 1 day pregnant. And I wake up 30 weeks pregnant and I thought I peed the bed.
No. Oh my gosh, stop.
Yeah. So I wake up and I was like, oh my God, babe, like I peed the bed. Like I was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
And I texted two of my best friends and I was like, LOL, I cannot stop peeing my pants this morning. And both of them were like, I don't think you're peeing. I think your water broke. I'm like, guys, seriously, like it's not funny. Like I'm only 30 weeks pregnant. There's no way my water broke. Luckily, I had an OB appointment that morning, and they were like, no, you need to get to the hospital right now because. So I thought I peed myself. My husband was like, just go take a shower and then like get dressed. Let's go to the doctor like a little bit early. I think my appointment was like at 9:30. He's like, let's get there at 9 when they first open.
Mhm.
I could not stop in my head peeing myself. I showered, I got out of the shower. Water is pouring out of me, but not a lot where I'm like, my water broke. Because when you hear about like in movies, it's like
Yeah.
huge, like
Yeah.
a rush of
Yeah.
water. No, it just like it was like little by little every step I took. My pants were soaking wet. By the
Shelby.
time I got to the OB, I'm like, hey guys, like I think my water is broken. They're like, okay, like go pee in a cup. I'm like, I have no control. So I'm standing in the bathroom, just water's pouring out of
You're
me.
like trying to catch it.
I'm like, I don't know what to do. I put in a huge pad from after I had my retrievals from like bleeding or after my DNC. I had like these big pads. I was like, this will absorb it. I was just water was flying out of me. Hi. So he's like, okay, let's take your pants off, get on the table, we're gonna test it. So he like got out these strips, like to test if it was like my amniotic fluid. Right away, the strip like bent, and I guess that means it. And he was like, pulls it up and he goes, you're going to the hospital right now. And I go, excuse me? No, like I have my baby shower tomorrow. I have friends in town. And he's like, yeah, no, that's not happening. You're going to the hospital until you give birth. I go,
You're
excuse
like,
me?
I don't understand.
I
Like,
don't know what you're saying.
it's
Like,
too early. Yeah.
I have people flying in. I have vendors coming to my home tomorrow. My friends are at my house right now. Yeah, no, cancel the whole entire thing. My husband and I are like, are you kidding me? So we drive to the hospital, we go to labor and delivery. They, when we check in, for some reason, they have me go up first and make my husband wait. And I didn't understand why. So I go upstairs to labor and delivery floor. At this point, I'm literally 30 weeks pregnant. No one was there. I just stood there and started hysterically crying. And like five nurses rushed over to me. Are you okay? I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like I woke up an hour ago. I thought I peed myself and now I'm here. So they put me in like the room with like the beds, but it's like all the curtains before you get your room. And they come in, they're asking me a million questions. They hook up my belly for like the little monitor to hear the heartbeat. And I have like no fluid in my stomach at this point. Like there was like no fluid at all.
When was your last ultrasound? Like when your last ultrasound, were you fine? And then it was just like
Wait,
your what?
perfectly fine. The week before my water broke, my husband and I went to one of those places where you pay for a 5D ultrasound to see the baby's face. 5 days before my water broke, I have this ultrasound. Oh my god, hi. And everything looked good. The girl who did my ultrasound at this place, I don't know, it's like $100, $200, whatever it
Yeah,
was
I've
like,
done those.
oh my God, your fluid looks incredible. There's so much fluid in here. And she literally kept talking about my fluid. I was like, yeah, I'm really good at drinking water this pregnancy. That was 5 days before my water broke.
That's wild. So at
Yeah.
this point, I feel like I know where it's gonna go, but I'll let you tell your story.
So they like checked me in, they put the heart monitor on, they hooked me up to an IV. They were like, you're not leaving this hospital until you give birth. And let's pray that you stay here for 4 weeks because we want to get you to 34 weeks.
And like 30 weeks, I feel like if you've been pregnant, like feels like you're almost done, but that's like 2.5 more months,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
You have, I mean, if you go full term, you have 10 more weeks.
Yeah, because I remember I went in at 33 weeks with this pregnancy and I was like, I'm ready. And then they're like, no, like you still have like two
I
months
saw
left.
your post and I was like praying that you didn't go into birth, like go into labor.
Everybody, exactly. Everybody that's given birth like at third between like 30 and 34, like I hope stay in, stay in. Whereas like you're so pregnant, you kind of like your mind's just
Yeah.
like so blurred. But okay, fluid
Well,
and
it was very low. My fluid was low, but there wasn't nothing in there. So I was still like leaking out on the table. So they were like, yeah, you're not leaving here. We're going to get you checked in. I was probably in that room with like the curtains for 6 hours. And all I'm hearing is all these girls coming in for their scheduled C-sections, getting ready to give birth. And I'm sitting there for 6 hours just hearing all these girls like coming through, giving birth, coming through, giving birth. I'm like, what the hell? So they had to give me two steroid shots, which were worse than a PIO shot somehow in my butt because the baby's lungs weren't fully developed yet because he was so little. So you have to get two steroid shots within like a couple of hours to that helps his lungs develop quicker. So I got the first one, and my husband's like, babe, you've done PIO like 900 times. This is fine. Somehow it was worse. Um, and then they finally got me into a room. They got me hooked up. I'm listening to his heartbeat. I'm hooked up to IVs. They're trying to get as much fluid in me as possible. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm gonna keep this baby in for 4 weeks. Like I can do this. Like it's up to me and I've got this.
Yeah.
So that first night I stayed alone because my husband had to come home for the dog. I had two girlfriends in town staying at the house. So I was like, you go home, I can stay here alone tonight. That night at 2 in the morning, the baby's heart rate drops and I get rushed in with like six
nurses getting me to sit up, switch my position, put oxygen on me, and I wake up and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And they were like, his heart rate dropped, and it was the scariest moment. So I did not sleep that whole rest of the night.
That is
Thank God my friends were in town because now it's Saturday. So my water broke on a Friday. Now it's Saturday, the morning of my shower. She's calling all my vendors, texting everyone that it's canceled. Don't come. Shelby's in the hospital. I wasn't even going to tell anybody that I was in the hospital yet because I didn't even know what was going on. But
you had no
at
choice.
that point, I had to tell everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
So they diagnosed with like PPRM, which is like something ruptured. I don't remember what it stands for, but it happens like 1% of pregnancies this early on. And I was like, of course. I have 4 egg retrievals, a blighted ovum, a chemical pregnancy, and now I can't even make it full term. Like it just felt like a joke.
Yeah.
So the nurses are like coming in. They were so great. Like my board was like the goal was like keep baby in, stay pregnant. We still at this point wouldn't even say the baby's name. So I had him put like the initials on the wall. I was just so scared because at this point it's like, is this baby coming out alive, God willing? Am I gonna make it 4 weeks? Like how long am I gonna be here? So Saturday and Sunday, every single one of my friends who had flown in and visited me at the hospital, it was like nice. They brought my games from the um what was supposed to be for my shower. We played it with the nurses. Like I was like having a good time over the weekend, enjoying it. Monday night starts, I start having contractions. Really, really, really bad contractions. And I still, at that point, for some reason, there was one nurse who was like, you're not giving birth. You're fine. I'm like, I am having contractions. What do you mean I'm not giving birth? Like, I was so confused. The contractions were so unbearable starting like Monday evening. So, this one, it's the 10th, February 10th, and I'm in the hospital for 4 days. And all day Tuesday, they were getting stronger. I finally got my epidural on Tuesday. And for some reason, I still didn't believe that I was going to give birth. So, right before, let me go back a little bit. Right before my contractions started, the NICU doctor from the hospital comes in to kind of tell us what to expect and what's going to happen. So, he comes in and sits with my husband. And I was like, okay, if your baby comes out this early, you're looking at him being in the NICU for 6 weeks or up until your due date. Here's what to expect. Our biggest concern right now is him coming out and not hearing a cry. So here's the 3 things. Either he'll cry, we'll initiate a cry, or we don't hear a cry. And it was just like a very realistic conversation of what to happen when my baby comes out.
I have chills. I like just listened to a podcast. Mom gave birth at 33 weeks, and she's like, the conversation you have about your baby being in the NICU before they come is like the most gut-wrenching, like raw conversation because they're just like super honest with you and
They
you don't
have to be.
know.
Yeah. And at first I was like, screw this guy. He's rude. But my husband's like, do you want him to tell us what we could expect? Or do you want him to sugarcoat it and be like, your baby's going to come out and everything's going to be perfect? Because that's not what's going to
And I
happen.
and I feel like every mom, but especially those that have gone through infertility and taken a really long time to get their baby, like the thing is like I'm not going to feel good until my baby cries. And then you're sitting in the hospital and they're like he may not cry.
Yeah. And it was just like, I mean, his heartbeat sounded so good when he was in me. Like, so there wasn't like a concern of that. It was just a concern of like what's going to happen when he comes out. He's 30 weeks and 5 days at this point. So he just was like, he'll be in the hospital for 6 weeks at minimum. He'll show me like they were like, he'll be in this incubator, he'll have oxygen, he's gonna have IVs, he's gonna have feeding tubes, he's gonna like all this stuff. And you're like, I can't even process what you're telling me right now because I can't picture it because I don't know anyone who's ever been through this. I've never even looked at like pictures or did research on anything NICU wise.
Yeah.
So how am I supposed to picture my baby with tubes coming out of it when I can't even picture my baby? It was just horrible. And then my husband was like, "Do not Google anything." He kind of did all the research because he's like, "I just need you to focus on like relaxing right now as
I
best
can't
as
wait
you
for your
can."
husband to listen to this podcast back. He's gonna sound like this like militant. Like it's
He
great.
was in the Marines.
Like oh he was
Makes sense.
like he's like this militant, but he's protecting you.
He's very protective over me because he knows I will like spiral as quick as it
And I love
comes.
that you listen.
Because I feel like he's so right in those moments that like if I was to Google and see pictures of what I end up seeing my baby like, I would have lost it and my anxiety would have completely taken over. So I finally now it's the morning I'm giving birth. I get my epidural. My contractions are 10 minutes apart. They're so horrible. my epidural was like pretty good in the morning, and then like it was wearing off, and I'm like pressing the button as quick as it comes, and the nurse is like, you have to wait 15 minutes. I'm like, then why the heck do I have this button? I can't make it 15 minutes. Like, this button's stupid. Like, just give it to me every 15 minutes. I was actually really nervous to get the epidural because I don't know if every hospital does this, but my husband had to leave the room. So it was just me, the anesthesiologist, and the nurse. He wasn't allowed to
Oh my
be in the room
God.
when it happened.
Amanda, because you had a C-section. It's kind of different,
I
right?
no, well, I didn't plan to have a C-section.
Oh,
Yeah, so I tried first, and so I had an epidural, but Chris was allowed to be in the room with me. I only was
yeah,
able, like my sister, and my mom had to walk out, but Chris was able to be there.
I didn't know that I don't know, I thought it was scheduled. Was that just because Ben was like 15 pounds? I'm just kidding. He was big, right?
How much
And
did
you
he
said,
weigh?
His head kept getting like hit
Oh,
pelvis wall, and so like his head was like gonna start like
yeah,
swelling. He had a big head. He couldn't fit.
yeah. Okay, but yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, Josh was able to be in there and he was like, you were like the funniest person ever after you got the epidural and you were like begging to get it. You were
it
like,
was the
please.
greatest thing in the world. I will, God willing, I can get pregnant and give birth again. I will never not have an epidural. I know some people are against it. Greatest drug after Zofran.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
best
yeah.
thing in the world.
I love that for you guys. It didn't work.
Oh no. That was
Oh
so
my
scary.
Yeah.
gosh.
So I get the epidural. It's me, my mom, and my husband in the hotel. And at that point, I was 5 days in. It felt like a hotel
Hotel.
in the hospital. And then we were making bets. Like, is the baby coming tonight? Is the baby coming tomorrow? So throughout the day, like I was getting dilated, but it wasn't happening that quick. So at like 10 o'clock, I was like 8 centimeters dilated. And my doctor was like, well, you can push because the baby's only weighing in at like 3.5 pounds. So you don't have to get to 10 centimeters because he's so little. So I was like, okay. So I was like, Kyle, call your mom because I wanted my mother-in-law, my mom, and my husband to be in the room. That's just like how I've always wanted it. So she lived like an hour away, and it was like 9:45. So I was like, call your mom. She needs to get in the car right now. I don't know when I'm giving birth, but it's gonna happen tonight. So at like 10:40, all of a sudden they're like, okay, they switch out the bed. Everyone starts rushing in. My OB, the NICU doctors, my MFM, all the nurses, they switch the bed out. And it's like 10:40. And he's like, all right, are you ready to push? I'm like, I guess. Like, I don't really have a choice. So I start pushing. As I get my first push in, my mother-in-law walks in the room. Like, her timing couldn't have been more perfect.
I love that.
And my first push, you have if you've given birth and you've pushed, like you have to push like not like a regular push, and I didn't know that. So I was just like kind of like pushing how you would think, and they're like, no, like hold your breath and like do it this way. So my first push, nothing happened. Two more pushes, the baby came out. So I was three pushes, he came right out, and it was
That's
just
so cool. That's amazing.
so scary. Right when he came out of me, we heard the most beautiful cry. He
Oh.
screamed his little lungs out,
At just
and
3 pounds and some
3 pounds 7 ounces.
Honestly, when you said you didn't have any fluid, I was thinking that they were going to make you do a C-section.
So we had a conversation about it. They said there's a chance. I literally said I do not care how this baby comes out of me. He just needs to come out healthy. Because at that point, they were like, "What's your birth plan?" I'm like, "I don't care. Like,
Just
if
baby
I'm
Whatever
alive,
you
pushing,
mom
gotta do.
alive.
Yeah.
if I'm pushing on an epidural, if I have like get this baby out of me safely, whether it's C-section, whether I don't care. And like some people are like, I would never have a C-section. I don't care. When you're in a situation like that and it's you have to get your baby out, get this baby out of me, whatever is best for him and for me.
100%.
So I never even had a birth plan. So when they told me that, I was like, great. I don't care. So he's 3 pounds 7 ounces. They took him out of me. I was in shock. They put him on my chest for about 14 seconds, and he was with soft NICU. I didn't see him. I kissed his forehead. I saw him wrapped in a blanket. Like, I can send you guys the photos. Like, I was still trying to process what happened. He was gone as quickly as he came out of me. And everyone left the room. Like, it was first, there was 15 people in the room when I gave birth. Within seconds of him coming out, everybody was gone because they were so focused on him, which I was totally fine with because I was like, I heard the cry, but is he healthy? What's going on? Like, I have no idea. So they cleaned me up. They show me, how to take care of me. And then I was like, well, when can I go see the baby? And they're like, well, you can't go and see him until your epidural wears off and you can walk. I'm like, push me in a wheelchair. I'll crawl there. I don't care. They're like, no, like, we need to make sure that you're okay. Like, you just gave birth. You can't like walk or sit up for a little while. So
Did your husband go though, at least, or
He
no?
went to go and see him, but he was like so focused on me. I was like, why are you focused on me? Focus on the baby. And he was like, no, like, are you okay? And I was like, I really appreciate that. And I loved that. But I'm like, can you go look at him? Like, what does he look like? Is he okay? Like, so he stayed with me. He went to him with his mom briefly, but then he came back to me. Took like almost 2 hours for my epidural to wear off. Finally, they wheel me over, and I'm gonna cry. He's in like a box, like a plastic incubator box with oxygen and feeding tubes and IVs, and just like, it's so sad. And I wasn't allowed to touch him. Once you enter the incubator, like, you can't touch him at all. So I spent like that whole night, we just sat in the NICU, like staring at him in his incubator. And he was just like, he was so beautiful, but he didn't look like a baby because he was so small. So they're like, all right, you need to go back, like, just go back into the room. Like, the NICU nurses were so incredible. And they're like, just go, like, try to relax. You've had like a really, really long day. So they finally switched us from labor and delivery to like postpartum. And that night at my hospital, in labor and delivery, you have your own bathroom. In postpartum, you share a bathroom with the room next to you. The girl next to me had a newborn that cried the whole night.
No.
I woke up hysterical to my husband, being like, how the hell could they put me next to a room with a newborn? I don't have my baby. I can't even touch my baby. Like, I was a wreck. Like, it was horrible to hear, like, you get your baby, and I just went through something so traumatic, and I have to go down the hall through like crazy security doors to get to mine. I can't even touch him. Like, it was just horrible. Then, like, at 6 in the morning, the next morning, the lactation consultant comes in and is like, all right, let's get you hooked up. And I'm like, well,
Like, what
I,
is happening? You're like,
I don't want to do this right now.
that.
But when we were talking to the NICU doctor before the baby was born, it was two options. It was either we could get donor milk or we can start giving him formula till my milk comes in. And we decided to give him donor milk. So any mom, if you're listening to this and you donate milk to the hospital, you are God sent. And like, I'm so appreciative of it. It's the most incredible thing that he was able to have breast milk that when mine didn't come in yet. So like, it was just incredible that that's even an option. So then she's like, all right, you're going to pump every 2 hours till your milk comes in. So I'm sitting there for 10 to 15 minutes every 2 hours from the hospital for like 2 more days. Nothing's coming out. Finally, right before I left the hospital, I got like the tiniest little bit of colostrum, and you would have thought I won $1 million the way that I was screaming. I ran with my little test tube to the NICU, being like, give this to him. Oh my God, I got colostrum. So we got discharged 2 days later, and he was still not allowed to be touched. He was still in his incubator. We were able to watch the nurses change him and, do little things like that. Well, I was able to touch him. I was able to hold him. So I was able to like put gloves on, change his diaper, do little things like that. When we got discharged and went home without him,
I was gonna say, was that the most, I'm sure, the most traumatic thing
it
ever?
was just horrible. Like, at this point, the nursery was not set up. I didn't have my shower. I had no baby things in the house, which was like kind of nice. But then it was like, oh my God, I need to get things set up. So we went home. And I had to start maternity leave like that day because I was like, I can't go back to work. God forbid I get sick. I can't see my baby. And I want to see him every single day. So my husband didn't go back to work yet. I went to the hospital every single day from like 10 to 2. Our hospital's 30 minutes away. I would come home, have lunch, take a nap. My husband and I would go back that night because there was like a shift change. So we had to like leave anyway. So every single day, we went twice a day. Finally, after 4 days of being in there, I was able to hold him, and it was just like the most amazing thing ever. But it was not your like typical thing. He had wires coming out of him, and the nurse had to hand him to me. I wasn't allowed to pick up my baby. Like, this was my kid. I just went through hell, and I'm not even allowed to open up his incubator without asking. Or I was so like, there were some parents in there that were like, F these rules, it's my kid. And I was so like, I want him home as soon as possible. I am following the rules. Like, I am not doing anything unless they tell me I'm allowed to do this, even though it's my kid, because I was just so scared. Like,
Did
I had
they
no.
did they tell you any reason for like preterm labor? Was it, or did it just
It's called prom,
but
PPR.
that's what, yeah.
That's what I had, but there was no reason for it. My OB was like, I don't know, your last ultrasound looked great.
Yeah.
Everything was good. It's one of those things that everything I researched, it was like 1% of women
Happens.
get this
Of
early,
course.
and there's absolutely no reason. And I don't know if it'll happen in my next pregnancy. Hopefully not, but like, it could, because it already happened to me once.
Wow.
So I was finally getting into the rhythm of pumping. So everyone was like, which is like so like, you guys know this, like going through infertility and loss, like people say the most insensitive things and they think what they're saying is like so nice and it's like no. So everyone's like, oh my God, at least you're getting some sleep. Oh my gosh, at least you're sleeping through the night. And I was like, yeah, well, my baby's in the hospital and I'm pumping every 2 hours. Yeah, I'm totally relaxed at home. This is a dream. Like,
Yeah,
no.
vacation. Thank you so much.
And everyone I spoke to was saying that. And I literally yelled at my whole family. I'm like, if one more person tells me this, like, I'm up every 2 hours pumping, saving any last drop of milk to deliver to the hospital for my baby. And I'm sitting there every night waking up being like, should I call them? Should I check on him? Is he okay? So he started getting really good. As weeks gone on, he got his oxygen levels, like they would lower his oxygen levels. He got his IV out. He finally was out of his incubator after a couple of weeks. I was able to change diapers. I was able to feed him. So as time was going on, we were learning that he was healthy. He was just really early. So there was no health complications. He had like all these like brain scans and his blood work and everything was coming back great. It was just he needed to keep growing.
Yeah.
So they said the minimum he would be there would be 6 weeks. And the longest would be till my due date. So every single day I would go, and the only people on the NICU were like parents or grandparents. So my sister couldn't come, friends couldn't come. They were so strict. They changed the rules after COVID. So every single day during the day, I would either be alone or my mom, Kyle's mom, and my dad would come meet me, which was nice. So I wasn't sitting alone. I would just sit there and stare at him. Sometimes I could hold him. I would play music, like just and you're surrounded by other parents, but everyone's kind of giving you your space because everyone's situation's different. The day I went in there and he was out of the incubator in his little hospital bed, I like was hysterical, and it was just like all these crazy milestones that he had to reach, which I wasn't expecting because I was expecting to bring home a baby. Um, but he was doing really good. NICU babies have this thing called brachycardia, which they call bradying, where their heart rate drops, and it's really, really scary. That happens a lot in the NICU. So he was bradying like every single day, and it was like the most terrifying thing because he was hooked up to things. So I would see like his beep, 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 and then all of a sudden it was like not beep, beep, beeping anymore, and it was just so scary. But like the NICU nurses at my hospital were like the most incredible people ever, and like they treated him like his own. So his name is Benjamin Theodore, and Theodore's after my husband's dad who passed away. And the nurses would call him Benny Teddy, and they were giving him nicknames, and they were
Oh.
just so incredible. Um, but every single day, like the longer he was there, like the harder it was getting. Like my friends forced me to go to lunch with them one day. My friends were like, you need to get the nursery set up. So one of my friends who has two babies came and basically like once I had our handyman like do his wallpaper and furniture, she did all the drawers and showed me all the things I needed and told me what to buy off my registry that I didn't have. So like my friends and family were so incredible during that time because I didn't know what to do at all. I felt very like stuck in my tracks. Like I want to move forward, but I also am spending 8 hours a day in a hospital. And it was just like really hard, obviously. And I'm like, I went through all of this. I have a baby, but like, it's just not my dream birth, my dream
And when
anything.
was he born? Because I know we started this and you're like, he's 15 weeks, but he was in the
He was
NICU
born
for 10.
February 11th. He was supposed to be
Okay.
born April 17th.
And it's literally June tomorrow, and he's only
Mhm.
been home for like a month, right?
A month and a half.
A month and a half.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or, yes.
Yeah.
No, a little over a month and a half. He was there. Oh my God, I don't even know the math.
No, you're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
it's
Yeah.
been more. But he was in the NICU for 37 days, ended up being 37 days. To be able to go home, he had to be able to get his feeding tube out and eat bottles for 2 days and then not Brady for 5 days. He Bradyed and then for the last 5 days he somehow didn't, which was like absolutely
Oh my gosh, that had
incredible.
to be so hard because you're like, okay, we're at four
I
days and
was talking
see
to him
what
like, if you
happens.
Brady tomorrow, I swear, like I'm gonna be so pissed because then your 5 days start over.
Yeah.
And they were really focused on eating. So he finally was able to take a bottle, but in the NICU they put this like thick fortifier in it for him to gain weight, and Ben hated it. So one of the nurses who I love, her name is Sandra. We ended up like I have her number. We talk all the time. She said to the doctor, "Why don't we just try to take the fortifier out?" Because he was spitting up and would not finish a bottle. The second they took the fortifier out, he was sucking every single bottle dry. So she was like, "Oh look, he's eating. He just hated that."
Yeah.
So he finally ate for 2 days. We were able to take him home, and it was just so like surreal, but now I'm scared. Like
He's
Now, oh, now what do I do? Yeah.
every
Yeah,
day
because
for
now you're
37
in
days.
charge.
I'm tracking
Yeah.
his heart. I'm tracking everything. And then I get to go home with, I don't have anything to track him. And I was debating on getting the owlet, and they were like, do not get it. You're going to be so obsessive. They're not even like 100% accurate. Like, do not just go
Like,
home.
yeah.
They're like, don't get it. They're like, we taught you what to do. God forbid he does Brady, what to look out for. Like, you're prepared, you're ready. So we came home and we finally got to do like our drive home with the baby, and it was so exciting. And he's been home now for I don't even know how long, and he's doing so well. He's 15 weeks and he's like over 10 pounds now. He's still super little. So like when people see me out, they're like, oh my God, is he a newborn? I'm like, actually, he's 3 months. But you know, like my husband was born at 10 pounds. Now my 3 month baby is 10 pounds. So it's a little,
It's yeah, crazy.
yeah, he's little, but he's doing really, really well. And like we feel so grateful that he's home, but it's just been like an absolute whirlwind. Like I didn't get my dream pregnancy, I didn't get my shower, I didn't get my dream birth situation, I didn't get to bring my baby home. So it's like I'm finally home with the baby that I've dreamed of forever, and it's like not what you planned for or hoped for, which is like the craziness of infertility and like
What's that?
all of this stuff. But he's home and he's doing really, really well, and I'm now absolutely terrified to get pregnant again and to have a baby again, which sucks because we want more. And now I have like all this trauma surrounding it, and I'm like, okay, like my delusional ass, I'm like, we're totally gonna get pregnant naturally now. And if
Perfect.
not, we'll do a transfer in December of this year because we still have tested embryos. But now I just have so much fear around getting pregnant and being pregnant and giving birth and God willing going full term. And now it's a whole nother level of like fear and unknown that you don't plan for and you don't expect for when it
Yeah,
comes
because
to
now
IVF.
your milestone, like we were talking about getting to the first ultrasound, now your milestone is going to be like the whole pregnancy, just getting like past 30
Like I
weeks.
did give birth. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and even now they're like NICU babies take about a year to like catch up to regular babies. So it's like he's not even a typical 15 week, or you're supposed to
Right.
treat them like whatever they're, because now we're going
Age
by
adjusted,
his
right?
gestational age is what, like he's technically would be 8 weeks, but he's 15 and a half weeks.
So
So
I know, I
confusing.
was
it's
like, that's so confusing to me. I'd be like, I don't know what
in the
just explain me.
hospital, they were talking to him about gestational age. So he was 31 weeks, 32 weeks. It wasn't 1 week, 2 week, 3 weeks. So it was really confusing. But they have this thing where we live. It's called Early Start, and it's a free government funded thing where babies who are either NICU babies or have any disabilities get free evaluations, free physical therapy, free speech therapy. So Ben is going to have his evaluation in the next coming weeks, so then they can determine where he's at his age group, and then they'll be able to help us make sure he's rolling and crawling and walking and doing all the things he's supposed to be doing at the right time. But it's been crazy. And anybody who's listening to this, like, I cannot push acupuncture or gut health or herbs or any of that stuff more, because I truly do not think that I would have gotten pregnant, stayed pregnant, got good embryos if it wasn't for doing that. And people think it's absolutely crazy because I'm like, yeah, IVF is incredible, but your body can only do so much for you. So if
Well,
anybody,
I like loved hearing the second half of like your success story, and oh my gosh, maybe there'll be a part three. And if
hopefully I
you
have a full term baby next time.
yeah, yeah. And if you want to share with us your acupuncturist, Chinese medicine, like I know you said you found her on Instagram, but you guys were kind of like from the same area. Any information, we'll include it in the show notes. And then, of course, I know we always, people know where to find you too, but we'll include it again as well.
Yes, I will definitely send it to you so you can add it to that. But like, I don't know if she does things virtually, but if you live in South Florida, she's incredible. Like, just look into that testing. Amanda, I know you said you want to do it. I can send you the information on it. Like, it will just tell you everything that's going on in your body, whether it's because you have autoimmune stuff too. It will help with all of that. And I just think that our bodies need to be, it wasn't ready the first couple of times, and I think my body's starting to get ready, even though I still didn't go full term. Still not really ready for those things, but it's better than what it used to be. And now I have a baby, and I just never ever ever thought that I was going to have a baby and that I would be a mom. So the fact that I have that after all this trauma, like, I hope whoever's listening to this like gets some hope and like doesn't give up, because one way or another, whether it's adoption or IVF or however it's going to happen, like, I hope everybody becomes a mom that wants to. And it's just the hardest, most amazing thing in the world.
Thank you so much, Shelby. This was
Of
amazing. Again,
course.
just to hear part two. And like you said, just hear this whole entire second half of your story. And we hope there's a part 3 and we can have you back on and
Fingers
all the
crossed.
things and you're going to go full term. But we're just so thankful that you're on and congratulations on your son and that he's
Thank you.
healthy. And so we're just so thankful you're on with us.